Hello, viewers. Today is Wednesday, October 16th, 2024. I'm here to share my thoughts and opinions on the US presidential elections 2024. Today, I would like to look at where we stand in terms of polling for both these candidates, as well as um, discuss about uh, who is getting a positive narrative, positive reviews in the national media and in the print media, and why. So let's go straight into the episode. In terms of polling, you got good news and bad news for both candidates. So let's look at Donald Trump first. He did get some good polling numbers over the weekend. NBC News had a national poll of likely voters, and the current poll result is like it's a tied race, 48% each, which is a good news for the Trump campaign because in the prior poll that they did, he was trailing Kamala Harris by 3-4 points, I believe. So then there were subsequent polls that had Kamala Harris up by 2-3 points, all within the margin of error. We had an ABC News poll that also had her 2-3 points ahead, but still within the margin of error. And then the CBS News poll that also had her 2 points ahead, but still it's within the margin of error. So overall, Donald Trump should be very happy because he was not doing that well in September on all these polls. So he has really caught up. And as I mentioned during my last episode, I sense there is a slight momentum in favor of Donald Trump in the last 10-15 days or so. So that's good news for Donald Trump. And then the other good news for Donald Trump is in terms of the battleground states, it looks as though that he's doing very, very well in the state of Arizona. And then he has really picked up in the state of Nevada. So I think those two states in terms of battleground, I think is a very positive sign for the Trump campaign. And then finally, Michigan. I think they are definitely giving a very tough fight in Michigan, and I think Donald Trump campaign should be very happy with what they see in the state of Michigan. So in terms of battleground states and in terms of national polling, Donald Trump has got some good news, and he's definitely going to be quite happy with what's happening currently. Then, if you look at the bad news for the Donald Trump, these are basically self-inflicted problems that he created himself. Most of it is based on what happened in the last 2-3 days. First, he had a town hall, I believe, on Monday where he was supposed to answer questions. But for some strange reason, he stopped answering questions after 30 minutes, and then he started playing music, and the people are not quite happy. Some of them left early, and some of them attended. They said that they came there to ask questions, but they didn't get a chance. And then also they were kind of waiting for a long period of time, and it was very hot. And overall, it was not a good site. And then the national media and the print media picked it up and became a big story. And that was they just had a very, very negative feedback on that particular town hall. And that's again a self-inflicted wound, but nevertheless, I think it will have some kind of a resonance and some kind of a blowback from some of these independent voters who might say that this is not the person that I would like to vote for. There will be some kind of effect due to that. Second thing is, he had an interview with an anchor in Bloomberg, and that was even worse in my view, because they asked a simple question as to say, do you believe in breaking up Google? And he did not answer the question. Instead, he started talking about how he is very upset with the Department of Justice filing a lawsuit against the state of Virginia, because state of Virginia had purged some voters from the rolls, and the Justice Department filed a lawsuit, and he said, I'm not happy with that. So the anchor asked again one more time to say that, the question was about Google. He did not even answer that again the second time. So that didn't go well as well. And then during the same interview, the anchor asked about if he loses, whether he will have a peaceful transition in 2024 or a peaceful uh, inauguration in 2024. And he said that we didn't have a very peaceful transition of power in 2020. He just said that I left the day that I was supposed to leave, and the January 6th was just there were a lot of people who came there. They came, and they were very lovable people. They were people who came there, and they were not violent, and they were actually asked to go into the Capitol by the cops. And I mean, he just basically was living in a different universe. And the media picked it up, and again, he had a very negative media coverage on that event as well. And so, and then the third thing was he had a scheduled interview with CNBC, and he abruptly canceled it, and he didn't provide any specific reasons for it. And I was very surprised because CNBC is typically a platform where the anchors are very favorable to him, and they pretty much ask very softball questions. So I don't know why he went ahead and canceled that interview as well. So all these became a national news, and also in the print media as well. So I think this is going to have some effect in polling in the next few days, and those are not good in terms of Donald Trump's campaign and his candidacy. Then let me go to Kamala Harris. So the good news from Kamala Harris's perspective is some of the polls were, of course, they talked about the national polls, talked about a tied race, but there are some that came after Sunday, like the tip poll that had her up by around 5 points nationally. And then there is a Marist poll that came out today that has her up by 5 points. So from a polling perspective, I think there is bad news for her, but there is still some good news that's coming out for her. And then in terms of battleground states, it looks like Quinnipiac came out today and said that she's up by around 2 points in North Carolina. That's probably a good news for her. And in Pennsylvania, the early voting trend so far suggests that there are more registered Democrats that have voted, and by a significant margin. So that's a good news for her as well. Those are just registered Democrats. We do not know whom they voted for, but the presumption is most of them, or majority, or significant majority of them, would have voted for the Democratic ticket. So that's a good news. And then in the state of Georgia, they started the in-person early voting yesterday, and they had a record turnout of 330,000 odd people show up. And that is good news for Kamala Harris's campaign, in the sense that we were told that most of them are women, and also we were told that most of the new registrations for voting has come from women in this cycle. So all this suggests that the numbers from Georgia, at least from the early voting perspective, is a good news for the Kamala Harris's campaign. But the bad news for the Kamala Harris's campaign, again, is they are not doing very well in Arizona. It looks like Arizona is slowly slipping away. It might be a little early. We have to look for another. We have only 20 more days for the election, 20 more days for the election. So we can look at it after a week or 10 days to see exactly where Arizona is. But at this point, it looks like Arizona is slowly slipping away. So that's not a good news for the Kamala Harris's campaign. And overall, she has to fight hard in the Rust Belt states. Michigan, again, Michigan is also getting very tight. And so she has to really work hard on Michigan. So the Rust Belt states, initially, at least 4 weeks ago, it looked as though that she's going to win the Rust Belt states, but that's become tighter now, and that's not a good news for her. So overall, if you look at it, we are back to where we are. It's a very tight election. There are some good things happening for either one of the for both these campaigns and their candidates, but it's too early to say exactly which way the momentum is going to swing significantly. I did mention that Trump had the momentum slightly in his favor 4 or 5 days ago, but I think if you look at the polls over the weekend, I think that would have been neutralized, and I wouldn't be surprised if Kamala Harris would have regained the momentum, but by a very small margin. And so that's the status of the campaign as of today, which is Wednesday, October 16th. One other news is Kamala Harris is going to Fox News to have a sit-down interview with Bret Baier. That is a very interesting situation, because that shows that she is willing to take risks, and she's not going to follow the Hillary Clinton template of trying to just slide through and not take any significant risk, which costed Hillary Clinton the presidency. So I think I actually second what James Carville said, that she has to go out there and campaign. She also needs to go into hostile territory and also explain her views so that people will see her. The more people see her, I think she has a better chance of explaining her positions. From Donald Trump's perspective, I think they're going to let him beat Trump, and he's going to basically go to the base. It looks like he's going to try to get as much additional votes from the base as possible, and the campaign is going to let him loose and try to say whatever he wants to say to increase the voter turnout among the base. So that's where we are right now. One campaign is focusing mostly on the base voters, and the other campaign is trying to expand and try to get some Republican votes as well as some moderates, and they're trying to go into some rural areas and trying to reduce the margin in those rural areas. So that's the actual fight now. We would not know exactly who is going to prevail, but we will keep looking at it and see which way the wind is blowing. So before I finish, I would like to reiterate that if you're eligible to vote, please go ahead and vote. As I mentioned, North Carolina is going to start the in-person early voting from tomorrow. Georgia has already started. Some other states have also started. Please go ahead and vote and do your civic duty. It's very important. If you don't like any of these candidates, please go ahead and write your name or anyone that you think will do a better job. So I would like to see the voter participation at least at around 80% or so. Last time, I believe it was like around 68% or so. That means that, every third person that you see on the street is not voted, so that's not a good sign for a vibrant democracy. So please go ahead and vote. That's it for me today. I'll come back to you with a different episode tomorrow. Till then, take care.